you. I'm very excited to be here tonight. Snow or no snow, we are going to have fun, and I'm going to help you move forward in every area of your life. My goal for you tonight, and for all my clients, is to get to a place where you feel more positive, focused, and productive. Where your life is going along in a way that you feel more peaceful, where you feel happier, where you feel more successful. So tonight, we're going to do 3 things. First, I'm going to pull your energy up, because to have positive thinking, to have positive focused energy, you need that positive energy going. So can you imagine the Panthers getting on the field, standing there in the locker room, and looking at each other and going, you want to go out there now? Yeah, we'll go out there now. What do you say? You want to go out there now? Yeah, we'll go out there now. And just walk out slowly onto the field. No, they're going to be pumped up. They're going to be excited. They're going to be energized. Because when you think positively, when you think with energy, when you pull that energy up, you expand your creativity. You expand your ability to do your work. So I'm going to energize you, then I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm here and how I got here. And then we're going to go through a 3-step formula that will help you move forward, be more successful in your career, and it can apply to anything in your life. I'm going to tell you a couple stories that will align with all that and will help you embed this information in your subconscious mind, which is the most important part of your mind. Your subconscious creates, your thinking mind thinks and reasons. That's it. So I have good news and bad news for you about your brain. You want to hear the good news or the bad news first? The bad news is your brain merely follows your lead. It's truly not that sophisticated. So if you energize it with some of the ways that I'm going to show you next, then your brain feels better. In other words, your brain is following your lead. The really good news is you're brilliant, or you wouldn't be here. You couldn't be in technology without truly, honestly being brilliant. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not technology. So, okay, snap with me. Have you ever been to a musical? Have you ever noticed in a musical they can't walk normally? Get a little bounce, a little swing, a little pep. They actually dance. So could you imagine walking through the halls of your employer like this and feeling lousy? It's impossible, right? If you're moving differently, if you're energizing yourself, you're energizing your brain, and your brain, again, follows your lead, and it responds positively. So that's one way to pull your energy up, is the musical walk. I created the musical walk years ago in Charlotte, and some people liked it and some not so much. So who do you think were the people that really, really, really liked it? Liked it?
Positive people.
Creative people? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Extroverts.
Extroverts? Absolutely. So who not so much?
Middle management. Introverts.
Middle management, introverts. Exactly. Yeah. Right? So
Pay no attention to me.
Yeah. People are a little bit more conservative. So I thought, okay, so that's okay, but I just had to create something else. So I created something that was more universal, it was sports-minded and easy to do. I created the woohoo punch. The woohoo punch is a way to energize yourself at 6:45 at night. So stand up and do it with me. There we go. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Come on. Even crabs get to stand up. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Everybody, yeah, you gotta film it, okay? So all we're gonna do on the count of 3 is woo, woo. All right? 1, 2, 3. Woo! That was a little wimpy. We can do a little bit better. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Awesome. One more time. that? Whoa, that's at the end of the day. Awesome. But now notice your energy level. Notice how you feel. You feel a little bit more energized, right? You feel a little bit better. You like got yourself out of that little rut, wherever that rut was. So those are 2 ways to energize yourself. Now, what about if you're driving the car? What about if you're in a meeting? What about if, like many of my clients, you are staring at a computer screen? How do you energize yourself? Any ideas? Something many of you are doing right now. You smile. You smile. That alerts your brain. Your brain, remember, follows your lead. That alerts your brain to wake up and feel better. So even if you just do a fake smile, so do a fake smile. Notice you feel better. Okay? So when it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're working on that project, you wish it were 5 p.m., fake smile to your computer and notice how much better you feel. The other way, along with the fake smiling, sit up really straight. Look, the queen is coming in. Just a second, the queen's coming in. Can I open this door? No, I can't. She's locked out. But if you just sat up straight and smiled, you feel better. Now, why do I talk about these things? Because my whole goal for you is to shift you from the not so good to the much better, so that your brain opens up, your creativity expands, you feel more positive. So that's my intention for you. Let me tell you briefly about myself and how I got here. I was born rich. It's true. I was born rich. There were 4 situations in my life by the time I was 13 that contributed to my richness. The first, I was the 5th of 8 children in 5 years. 3 more followed me. So I was rich. It looked like I had a little team already. Lots to learn. Second, I had a brother, Danny, who was developmentally disabled. Danny was truly a richness in my life. Danny was sort of like a 3rd grader. That's where his mentality was. And he was wonderful and simple, and Dunkin' Donuts and pizza was all Danny would want. He was great. And he taught me so much about a simple life and how rich that could be. The 3rd richness was that at the age of 13, I went away on one of 2 family vacations. And on that family vacation, my dad died suddenly of a heart attack, leaving my mom with 8 of us, ages 17 to 5. So can you imagine that? She had never worked outside of the home. My 4th richness was my mom herself. My mom had MS, multiple sclerosis. So by the time I was 5, she was on crutches. By the time I was 8, she was pregnant and in a wheelchair with my youngest sister. And when my dad passed on, she was full-on quadriplegic. She could move her thumb, about this much. All that combined to make a very rich life. In fact, a little tongue-in-cheek, I couldn't be a speaker without a great story. And the reason why I say this to you is because I, from that story and from those challenges, was propelled into adulthood overnight. By the time I was 14, I took on sort of like a mini mom role. My oldest sister had gone off to college. I had 3 older brothers. So I'd get my mom up in the morning, I'd put her to bed at night, I'd shower her on the weekends, I'd take care of the groceries, I'd take care of the Christmas shopping. I did it all. And that developed for me. Now think of you, because you had a story too. And the only thing about a story is, what are you going to do about it? Like, everybody's got a story. Everybody's got some variation of what I just told you. The question is, what are you going to do with your life? You can either keep to the facts and move forward, or you can create this crazy story about how things can't happen. Because whatever your story was, wherever you started with something and developed a bunch of negative BS, negative belief systems about what was possible and what wasn't possible in your life. And now you're living out those possibilities. And I'm here to challenge you a bit and tell you that there's wide open opportunities for me. But for me and for you, those wide opportunities are based on your belief system. And you can change those. So tonight we're going to entertain a few ways that you can change those. You can amp things up in your life. And you can create the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all up to you. For me, I had challenges like borderline anorexia. I had 12 years where I was depressed. I realized I had to work my way out of that. I had to study and work and recognize what I could do with my life. And then I decided this is my passion, to share this with you today and with others every day. So I go to places like Microsoft and Coca-Cola and Lowe's and Bank of America, and I help people like yourselves move past what's holding them back, have more career success, more personal, professional success than they've had in the past. They get along better in teams, they're happier at home, they feel like they have more work-life balance, and overall, it is what I absolutely look for. So today we're going to talk about you and how mindset contributes to career success, and I'm going to give you 3 simple steps about how you can move forward. I'm going to tie in some examples for you, and I would encourage you to ask questions, to challenge me, anything that might help you. So there are 3 things that you can do to help yourself with career success. Number 1, recognize that you can't move forward unless you become someone different. Okay, so the first step is you must become someone different. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you have something called a self-concept. You have a self-concept for everything. In fact, you have a self-concept for technology and how well you perform in technology, how much you can figure out the technology. But until you change your self-concept, you can't move in your career. You can't change your life. So your self-concept is what you think about yourself in terms of a particular thing. So right now, I want you to write down your number 1 challenge right now in your life. What's your number 1 challenge? What's bugging you? Write that down. Write down your number 1 challenge. What's your number 1 challenge? Because we're going to think of our lives in terms of that challenge and what you're creating right now. Because in your life, you must have vision. You start out with a vision for your life. What's your vision right now for your life? Think about that and write down a couple things. What is your vision for your life right now? No matter what your age, you need to have a vision for your life. Doesn't matter if you're 20 or 40 or 60 or 80. What's your vision? Who are you and who are you becoming? Who are you and who are you becoming? So you decide the person you want to become, decide the role you want, and with that vision, then you're going to see yourself very clearly in that role, in that new situation, interacting with people differently, and how that feels. Because once you feel differently about who you are and what you're doing, that feeling can carry you to the next step. Okay? So then you need to change your thinking, because what you think about, you bring about. You might want to write that down. What you think about, you bring about. So you're going to need to change your thinking. So if you think to yourself, I can accomplish that goal, I can become that person, I can do that, then that's going to dramatically change things for you. So what you think about, you bring about, and that will determine your success. If you think to yourself, oh, I'm hugely successful, I can do this, this is possible for me, it will be possible for you. If you think to yourself, I can't do it, as Henry Ford would say, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're what? You're right. You're right, right? You think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And then you're going to have to think more positively, speak more positively. This is really key, folks. And I'm going to go over this a couple times. What you speak is what you will seek. So if I say, hey, how's your day going? What would you respond? Great, awesome. What's a common way for people to respond?
Good.
Fine, what else?
Do you want to know the real answer?
Yeah.
That's the response I get.
What's that?
That's the response I get. Do you want to know?
Oh,
do you want
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
do you want
yeah.
the social?
People yes, because lots of people will say crazy. Crazy. Now what happens when you say crazy is your brain goes like this. Literally, your brain, if it were up on a screen, would start responding like this. What you speak, you seek. If you say to yourself, everything's going well here, my life is amazing, and it's not, and you're not used to saying that to yourself, your brain will go, seriously? What are you talking about? And if you keep repeating it, what you'll notice is your life will shift. Your life will start changing, because what you speak, your subconscious will seek, and it will give you evidence. All right? I'll give you a very simple example of this. How many people have ever bought a car? All right, ever seen a car? Ever driven a car? Know what a car looks like, all right? So you bought a car, and it depends on what point in life you are, about what your ideal car would be. So some people, they're at this point in life and they're like, oh my gosh, I want this super cool car, and it's red, and it's a sports car, and it's awesome. So they've got that in their mind. And other people, they're at the point where their kids are playing soccer, and they want the light blue minivan, right? So it doesn't matter where you are, but you've got this vision of where you want to be, with your car, with this, with that. Here's what I want you to understand. As soon as you decide on that car, and as soon as you pick that car up, what do you start seeing all over the place?
Same car.
The same car. Why is that? If you get this, you'll understand a key point about your subconscious. Why is that?
Because you're thinking about it.
Because you're thinking about
Cars
it.
are already there, you just aren't paying attention to them.
Exactly. Those cars were already there. You're just not paying attention to it. So here's what happens. You have something in your brain called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system is a gumdrop-sized piece of your brain that basically brings your attention to or helps you discount whatever you want to pay attention to, whatever you don't want to pay attention to. There are millions, if not billions, of pieces of information thrown at you every day. Whether you're aware of them or not depends on what you're what? Focused on, exactly. It depends on what you're focused on. Red sports car, blue minivan, I'm getting promoted, I'm not getting promoted. That's what you need to understand, is that what you focus on grows. What you focus on grows. And when you focus on what's going well in your life, what's working in your life, you're going to see more of that. And your speaking is critical. We'll get to this in a little bit. Your speaking is critical. But most importantly, understand that your self-concept, who you are, who you think you are, is who you're going to become. And when you speak differently, and you say different things about yourself than you're used to saying, if someone says to me, are you good at technology? I'll give them an honest answer. I'm learning more every day. No, but are you good? I'm learning more every day, right? Can I compete with any one of you? Never. No, we're not going to go there, right? But you want to keep it positive. You want to keep framing yourself in a positive manner so that no matter what you're doing in your life, you're headed towards that positive self-concept. And as you go through different challenges, that self-concept will change. So one very personal story that I can share with you about changing self-concept and being challenged and knowing things weren't going well in my life was about 7 years ago. About 7 years ago, my husband and I parted ways, and our daughter was 14. Now, when people part ways and they have a child, usually where does the child live? Mom or mom and dad. So she was going mom and dad, and that went on for about 2 years. Her dad was living in the house that she grew up in, and me, I was about 3 or 4 minutes away. And so we were going back and forth, and after about 2 years, I started hearing from her and hearing from him, this isn't working. I don't like this. Now you would think with the work I do that I gather them together and I say, hey, kumbaya, let's get together. Let's, sing a song. Let's be family. Let's talk about this. But instead, I used an old friend. Denial. Nope, not listening, nope, not going to talk about this, not going to talk about this, nope. Why? Because I was afraid. And if you live in denial, you're usually pushing something away and fearful. So think about this in your life and that challenge you've got and the success you're looking for. What are you pushing away? Because eventually, if you keep denying something, what happens? It comes back at you. It challenges you. You have unlimited potential. And let me tell you, beyond unlimited potential because you're in technology. Most everybody here is in technology, and the challenges and the opportunities ahead of you are just like amazing and never ending. So we go along through this, and denial eventually is going to creep up on you, right? And that happened to me about, probably 2 weeks later. I was in the park, and the phone rang twice. The first time was from a friend of mine in college telling me that a woman who was like a second mom to me had passed on. The second time was from my husband, and as I'm trying to deal with the grief from this woman who was like a second mom, and he calls, and I pick up the phone, and he said to me, I don't want to upset you, I don't want to shock you, but you haven't been listening. I am suing for full custody of our daughter. In one split second, my life had changed. So, I'm also a person who is into fix-it. Any fix-its here? Like, fix-it's not a bad thing. It's just when you combine denial with fixing, it sometimes doesn't work. So I said to him, hey, listen, I am going to go pick her up, and I'll get back to you in 20 minutes. We'll have this all set, and she will be just fine. So I forget that I'm about to pick up a teenager. Now, does anybody here have a teenager at home? Right? Okay. Ever seen a teenager? All right. Ever been a teenager? Right? So you know that their brain's not wired the same as ours, right? They're not going to communicate the same. They're not going to relate to you the same way. So I'm driving to pick up this child, and I'm not thinking to myself that this is a teenager. I'm just thinking I'm upset. I go, I pick her up, I open the door, she sits down, and I look at her and I said, hey, I understand. You and your dad have been talking. And she just cuts me off. She said, Mom, it'll be okay. Don't worry. I'll still see you on weekends. I'll still see you on Easter and some holidays. I was in total, complete shock. I don't know how I got home that night. I don't know what happened. Somehow I got home, she got home. And the next day I woke up in an empty house with barely any sleep, realizing I needed to change. I needed to change. I had a challenge ahead of me. My child and I weren't as close as I could be. I wasn't the mom I needed to be when we were together. I needed to change. And let me tell you, the thing that needs to change first is your self-concept. What you feel about yourself inside has to change in order for the outside to change. I couldn't change that relationship unless I decided that I was going to be different. And let me tell you, it was the toughest part of my life I've been through in years and years. So I wake up and I realize I've got to change things, and I've got to be in touch with her. Now, there are 2 ways to get in touch with a teenager. What are the 2 ways? 2 ways if they're not in the room. What are the 2 ways? Texting, yes. And, pardon me?
Social media?
Social media or texting.
Right.
So an absolute, social media can be great, but I had to get in touch with her right away, so I had 2 choices, texting or texting. And I chose to text. So, I said to her, and I I texted her something, but before I texted her, just think, where was my brain at that point? Like, where was I? I just found out that he was about to sue me, and I said, no, stop the lawyers. She had basically said, hey, Mom, I'm moving in with Dad. So where am I emotionally?
You were already stressed out.
I was pretty stressed. What would you, some of the words that you might use?
Desperate.
Desperate, yes.
Crushed.
Crushed, yes.
Not at the peak rationality.
Not at the peak rationality of my life, that's for sure. What else?
Or aberrated.
Pardon me?
Aberrated.
Yeah.
A wreck.
Aggravated.
No,
You were a
aberrated.
rep.
What?
Aberrated with a B.
Aberrated, okay, I don't know that word. No, I really don't.
Not thinking straight. It was fragmented.
Ah, okay, new word.
So-
I just see, I need to look at my word of the day.
I
Aberrated,
believe
so
that's what-
upset. Yes, okay, what else?
Frustrated.
Pardon me?
Frustrated.
Frustrated, denial, yes, all those things. So imagine, with all that energy, I am texting my daughter who I want to get in touch with. Think of yourself when you're texting somebody, or you're emailing somebody, or even calling somebody. Do you think they can ever read your energy, your emotions? Have you ever heard somebody's voice when you read a text? And the text could be, right? You hear their voice. You hear their voice and you hear either something like, hey, would you like to get together today? Or would you like to get together today? Like, I really don't want to. So in my case, I'm texting to her and I take all those together and I'd say I was radically upset. I was what I would call, and I don't like to use this word, crazy. So in that crazy energy, I text her and I say, hi, good morning. Would you like to have dinner with me tonight? Love, Mom. I might as well have signed it, love, you're crazy, angry, upset, I want to choke you and your dad. Mom. Now, could she feel that?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. So what does she send back?
No.
No.
No, thank
No, I'm fine here. I got Dad, I'm fine, I'm doing okay. So, the next day I get up and I'm more upset, I've had less sleep, I'm more irritable, I'm more tired. And with that energy, I text her and I say, would you like to have dinner tonight? And I try to make it sound a little like fun or something, which really was a stretch for me. And she said, what?
No.
No. So then the third morning I get up and I am like desperate. I am just, wow, what am I going to do here? I don't know what I'm going to do. So I pick up one of the many books I pick up to read, to understand how I can help people. And this morning, this particular morning, is to help me. And the book reminds me that I'm giving out one thing. What am I giving out?
Negative energy.
Anger, aberration, still don't know what it means, upset, crazy. I'm giving out all this stuff, and what am I expecting back?
Love it.
Love! Love, happiness, and joy and peace, right? So I'm giving out a bunch of garbage. And think, when you text people, you email people at work, and you may say one thing, but your energy has another thing in mind. Resentment, anger, frustration, whatever it might be. So I realized, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. I can't send her out this negativity and expect positivity back. This book reminds me that my feelings and my emotions go with me and go out to the world way beyond where I think they go. So I go back to my room and I take the chair that I normally sit in to meditate, read, whoops, and I make it fall down. Then I pick it up and I point it towards where she is. Point it towards where I think she is living. And I said, I hope you forgive me. I know that I haven't been the mom you wanted me to be. I know this is upsetting for you. I know this is difficult for you to navigate. I know this has been a tough time. And I am so, so sorry about that. And I promise you I will do my best. I will be better. I I just took a deep breath and I said, I'm sending you love. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you love. I am sending you love. I took another deep breath. Where do you think I was at that moment? Emotionally. More centered, absolutely. I was in a better place. I dropped all that, or most of that, like negative stuff. I realized that unless I sent her different emotion, different feeling, different energy, I wasn't going to get anywhere. That this is an incredibly important point. This is probably one of the biggest, most important points of this whole interaction tonight. This is like a little miracle here. Because I sent her all that. And then in that energy, I texted her the very same words. Would you like to have dinner tonight? Love, Mommy. And she said, yes! It was like a miracle on two levels. The first level was that I felt like I had my child back, or at least a door was open, I could communicate with her. The second level was that I felt like, my gosh, I've studied this stuff 25 years plus, and it works. It works. So what is the point of this? How would you summarize it in a way you can use it in your life? Give you a very simple point. Whatever you give out, you get back. That's one way to summarize it. Whatever you give back, give out, you get back. You give love, you get love. You give anger, you get anger. You give resentment, you get resentment. You give frustration, you get frustration. So how is it that we go to work and we complain about everybody at home and think they don't hear us or feel that, and then we go home and we complain about everybody at work and think they don't hear that? And yet that's what we're sending out. And so my self-concept around that, and your self-concept around work and home and people and relationships has to change in order for you to behave differently. You have to make the intention that your relationships are going to go better. And then you have to send them what? Kindness, compassion, dare I say love. But somebody at work, who is bugging you? Write their name down in teeny tiny letters because they might be sitting next to you. Who is it that's bugging you at work? And you might say to me, but Paula, you don't understand. No, I do understand. You're not going to go to the next level at work. You're not going to get the next job. Things are not going to work out as well as you hope them to work out unless you're able to have those relationships work. And the way to have those relationships work is to send out what you want back. So if you're in a place where you're not quite yourself, you send somebody else compassion, because that's what you need. You send somebody else kindness. You send a family member love. Oh, but they're so annoying, they do this, they do that. But don't forget, whatever you send out, you get back. Remember when you last lost your temper, you got that back too. You got that anger, it feels lousy. So in order for you to switch jobs, in order for you to switch energy, in order for you to build relationships, you've got to switch your energy, your self-concept. You've got to switch that, right? So when you're onto something, when you're changing your life, you've got to change who you are from the what? Inside. And then it will show on the outside. There is one small little change that we can talk about, right? It's a little bit different from the inside outside. Remember when you went for that job interview and you wore certain clothes? Now, if you're ready for that next step up, whether it's in your personal life or professional life, the outside might change. You might decide to dress differently. You might decide to start acting differently so that everything on the inside would start seeing the changes, right? So who you are, your self-concept, is so important. And one thing, your whole life is a cup of tea. Your whole life is a cup of tea. This is so important. It's your thoughts, your energy, and your action. Your whole life is a cup of tea. So it's your thoughts for the tea, it's your energy, and your action. Make sure they align. If you want your life to change, if you want things to be different, your thoughts need to change. Your energy will reflect that changed thought, and your action will take that on. Your energy is your feelings or your emotions. And one of the easiest ways to change who you are on the outside is to feel like you're already there on the inside. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done that where you've decided, I'm going to change jobs, I'm going to change my goal, I'm going to be a different person? You must start changing here. And what I teach people to do is to visualize or imagine that next step. So I want you to look at that challenge that you wrote down and pretend that challenge gone. It's gone. It's done. It's resolved. It's completed. Whether that challenge could be a goal now or whether that challenge is something that's just today's challenge. Imagine, poof, it's gone. Or imagine your number one goal. The number one thing you want to change, because to do that, you've got to first become somebody else. And we're going to walk through a very short visualization or imagination about that one goal. So write down one goal that you'd like to have accomplished. Write it down real quickly. Because we're going to imagine that goal as if it had already happened, as if it's already done, as if it's already completed. What's that one goal you want to have in your life? What's that one goal? You think of one goal you want to have in your life, write it down. And now we're going to walk through 1 minute of imagining or visualizing like you're already there. What's the importance here? Does anybody know the importance of visualizing? Or seeing it happen?
It's a mental, it's like practicing.
It's mental rehearsal.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you know any athlete, or if you've ever done any sport, your coach might have said to you, imagine in your mind the goal. Imagine in your mind you're already there. Imagine in your mind. Michael Phelps, every night before he went to sleep and when he woke up, his trainer, his coach would say to him, Michael, play the tape. Play the tape. What did he mean?
Visualize.
Exactly. Visualize. Play it in your head. Play it in your head. Imagine the ideal outcome. In fact, Michael used to even imagine that his goggles flew out, that something happened that wasn't quite perfect so he could fix it. Because here's what happens in your brain. When you imagine what you want, then it's like a mental rehearsal. And your brain starts clicking in, and your brain actually fires the same way it would fire if you were actually doing it. So I teach folks, imagine that outcome you want, because that's when you become even more brilliant. Have you ever been in a meeting where you say, wow, did I say that? Did I really say that? Was that something I said? That's what I want you to realize, because you can have that goal, whatever you wrote down. So what I'm going to do is ask you to close your eyes, and if you're not comfortable closing your eyes, it's not a big deal. And I'm going to walk you through for 1 minute imagining that that goal has been actually there. It's been actually realized by you. Okay? So on the count of 3, you can close your eyes. 1, 2, 3. So imagine there you are. It's 1 year from now. And that goal, that number one goal, that thing that you've been after, all this time has been finally realized was important to you, and you're excited about it. You're really, really excited. It's something you've been after, and you're so proud of yourself for taking the steps, and you're excited that it became a reality. And in fact, it's such a big deal to you that one of your family members actually got together a whole bunch of your friends, people you love who are important to you, friends, coworkers, and they met at someone's home or somewhere you're comfortable with, and you're seeing that place now, and you're looking around, and all those people that are important to you are there. They're there to celebrate you. They're there to celebrate what you've accomplished. And you just take it all in for a minute. They're there to congratulate you. And then one by one, people start coming up to you, giving you a hug and high-fiving you and telling you how excited they are for you. This goal has been realized. You've done it. You hit this goal. You stretched yourself. It's a new job. It's a new financial situation. It's something that was important to you. One by one, they come up. They tell you how excited they are. They congratulate you. They hug you. They high-five you. And you just take that all in. And you feel it. You feel how wonderful it is to have gotten there, to have gotten to that goal. And you're so excited. And you're peaceful. And you're proud of yourself. So just sit there, feeling that for a minute or so. Feeling how wonderful that feels. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Is that not cool? And you've done that a million times in one way or another. Perhaps never with a goal with something that was really important to you. Does anyone want to share what that was like? What's that like? Did you want to stay a little longer? Yeah, you want to stay a little longer. Because you literally convinced your brain, and your brain followed along with it, that you hit that goal. And you're celebrating people that you care about, that care about you. And that's how you start setting your brain up to hit that new goal, to hit that new place. Because that first step of becoming the person you want to be is the most critical place you can get yourself. Because here's what happens, is you say to yourself, I want this. I want the house, I want the car, I want the different life. But I don't necessarily want to take the steps. I want that to happen. I want that end point. But you must become the person first. You must be who you need to be to do what you need to do to have what you want to have. You must be, and then do the thing, and then have the thing. So becoming is the first and most important step, which is why we spent so much time on that. You must recognize the plan comes from the becoming, from the person you are making yourself, creating in yourself. The second is you need to have a plan. Without a plan to get to that next point wherever you want to go, you're just dreaming. So you have to have some sort of plan. It can be a simple plan, it can be a very direct plan, but you must have some plan, whether it's for career success, personal success, and what I recommend to people is you write down 10 goals. So we're not going to write 10 goals, but I want you to write down your top 3 goals. Your top 3 goals are the 3 goals that are really literally at the top of your mind, and you can write them down. If I said you've got 30 seconds or 3 days. So what are your top 3 goals? Write them down. What are your top 3 goals? What are your top 3 most important goals? Think, what are your most 3 important goals in life? Right now, if somebody had like a magic wand, you could have those 3 goals, what would they be? Because without a plan, you're just dreaming or hoping for the best, and you're not going to make the progress you hope for. So you've got to think of things, if you're shifting in terms of career, you want to think of, for example, who do I need to talk to? Or if you're shifting in terms of life plan, who knows what I need to know? Who do I need to talk to? And then, of course, it's like, what do I need to read? There's a quote, right? Where your life changes based on the people you meet and the books you read. So who are the people you need to meet to perhaps mentor you? What are the books you need to read? And then what are the actions you need to take to get to that next step? So write down something you need to do to get to that next step. If it's a financial goal, how are you going to save more money? How are you going to pay off debt? How are you going to do whatever you need to do? Because when you write down the goals over and over again, they're embedded in the subconscious part of your brain. And the subconscious is the part that gives you guidance and intuition, right? So if you've got a big, huge goal, you may not know how to meet it, but if you keep writing and rewriting that goal, you will come up with ideas. You will come up with ways to go about that goal that perhaps you hadn't thought of before. And then, for example, if you're looking at career success, or you're looking at home success, what do you need to step up to? Do you need to basically volunteer for more projects at work or at home? Do you need to do something a little bit differently so that you can show you're interested? Do you need to talk more at meetings? Do you need to participate, encourage, and be more positive? So first, it's about becoming. Second, it's about making a plan, and in that plan, you've got to have specific steps, and you've got to have certain goals that you're going to reach for. And then the third and final point is, so we talked about becoming, we talked about making a plan, right? And the plan needs to be measurable and clear. And then finally, we talk about taking action. Taking action. So who was it who told me they didn't eat their frog yet? Somebody talk to me later because yes. So, right? So what is a frog? Has anybody ever heard of the expression, eat that frog? Eat that frog. You heard of that? Yeah. What does it mean?
The worst part or the hardest thing that has to be done, or do that first thing of the day?
Yes. The worst part or the hardest thing that has to be done, do that first thing of the day, right? Because your success is dependent upon the tough stuff. The stuff that you don't necessarily want to do is what you need to hit first. So write down what's your #1 priority, in other words, your frog for tomorrow. Write that down. Because then I'm going to tell you how to take action on it quickly. In fact, I'm going to give you one of the best procrastination tools ever that will help you move forward in your career and your personal life. Help you clean the garage or do the project, no matter what. So write down that #1 thing you need to do tomorrow. Whether it's at work or at home, most likely at work, what's your #1 thing that most likely you might procrastinate on? If I didn't give you this super duper amazing tool that will change everything for you. Okay, so eat that frog. There's a tool called Give It 10. And when I worked at Coke, we came up with an acronym for Give It 10, and that acronym is GIT. And this is an incredible procrastination tool, right? Because procrastination is avoiding something you don't want to do, and it's usually why. Why do you usually avoid it?
It's unpleasant, it seems too big,
It's unpleasant, it seems too big, what else?
Too difficult.
It's too difficult. Yeah, you haven't done it before. But just like everything else, when you try something and you keep persisting, you can do it. You can learn something. You've learned a lot of difficult things. But give it 10. So somewhere in your paper, if you want to write that down, give it 10. And here's how that goes. So you know what you've got to do. You go to your workstation and you put everything aside. And then you get any materials you need for that number one goal. And you basically commit to your brain and to yourself that you're going to do that for 10 minutes. Not 20 minutes, not half an hour, not all day. That's a challenge. If you said to your brain, hey, brain, let's do this for like 20 minutes. Your brain is like, maybe not. If you say, how about 2 hours? No, I think I need a coffee break right away. With Give It 10, you're just committing to 10 minutes. And what science says is when you commit to 10 minutes, you get to that place of peace, of flow, of focus. Your brain loves challenge. In fact, your brain will love working on your hardest thing because it gets you to that nice place where you're flowing, where you're focused, where you're calm, and your creativity just goes crazy. And so you sort of challenge yourself to get into that really quickly and to get a lot done in 10 minutes. You set your timer and you hit go and you just start on it. Now when your timer goes off and you haven't finished, what do?
Sit.
You sit.
Stop.
Stop.
In 10.
You stop.
Stop after 10. Sat. I sat.
Sat. You sat. You sit and sat, right? So what would you do? Give it 10 more minutes and keep it going until you've got a meeting, till you've got somebody that comes in. If somebody comes in and you're in the middle of your 10 minutes, say to them, come back in 10 minutes. And then as soon as they leave, you just hope they don't come back, right? You're just like, I hope they don't come back. I'm going to keep going on this, and you keep going, and it's like a little mini race. Your brain gets engaged. This works so beautifully at work for the tough stuff that all of a sudden you're in this flow piece and you can keep going. At home, you can clean the garage, you can get the work done that you needed to do just by committing to 10 minutes. So here's the deal. If you want to move forward in any area of your life, the first and most important thing you need to do is you need to start becoming that next person. You need to change your self-concept from the inside to be the person on the outside. You need to see yourself differently. When you set that goal, you need to visualize that goal. You need to recognize that if you're going to be somebody different, if it's to be, it's up to me. You need to take 100% responsibility for your life. Not just a little here and a little there. You need to step up to the plate and decide, this is something I'm committed to. So we talked about a lot of things here. And I want you to just commit to one thing. Are you going to write your 10 goals? Are you going to use Give It 10? And then finally, I'm going to give you one more, like, secret tool that will help you in meetings. Does anybody ever get triggered in meetings?
Sorry.
Right? Does anybody
She sat in my meeting.
There you go. Does anybody ever not get triggered in meetings, right? I mean, meetings are one of the biggest ways we get triggered. You're triggered all day. Sometimes you get triggered just from a thought you have in your brain, right? Sometimes somebody walks down the street and reminds you of something just by being there. But your goal is to keep your brain focused on the positive and keep going. So I'm going to give you another key point that will help you. This is something I created for the folks at Coke and for my other clients. It's PBS, like Public Broadcasting System. But instead of PBS as that, we're going to use this. Here's your 3 steps to stop a trigger from taking over. What's the last word? Pause, breathe, and
Sleep.
smile. What'd you say?
I was going to say sigh.
Pause, breathe, and smile. So here's what happens. Somebody triggers you or you think of something and it makes you feel negative. You don't want to go that way. You want to go somewhere positive. So you pause because between stimulus and response is all your opportunity. And that, pausing, will allow you not to shorten your career, right? By saying something that you might regret. Then you breathe to get yourself in a more positive place, and then you smile.
Thinking
would
that
do two
person's an
things.
idiot, does that
Well,
put me down
basically-
wrong? Does that put me down the wrong path?
Well, what happens there? What happens there, when you smile, what do you think that person thinks?
They think you're affirming them.
They think you're affirming them, or they think you're crazy. They're like, well, I just said something mean to that person, and they're smiling. Either way, you're in a good place, because what happens, just smile with me, 1, 2, 3, smile. You feel better. What you don't want is to get off course by a trigger. So you pause, you breathe, you feel better, and you smile. So here is your career success. 3 steps. You must shift who you're becoming by thinking, visualizing, goal setting, recognizing that you can become whoever you want, whoever you think about. The second step is to make a plan. You must make a plan. Step 1, start becoming that person. Take action. Make a plan. Step 2, all right? People you're going to meet, books you're going to read, ways you're going to be different. Make a plan. And then third is eat the frog. Take the action. Nothing happens without action. You can make the best plan in the world, and unless you put that plan into action by eating your frog, by pause, breathe, and smile when people upset you so you're not off track, by giving it 10 and taking action right away, right? Unless you get there by taking certain steps, nothing will happen. So before you leave, I have 2 requests. 1, decide who you are becoming. Decide who you are becoming. Write down your goals. Write them over and over every day. That embeds it into what part of your brain? Subconscious, right? And then commit to do one thing differently as a result of our conversation tonight. One thing differently. What one thing will you do differently? Any ideas? What are you going to do differently? What are you going to do differently? What tool will you use? What actions will you take? Yes?
I have a project I've been procrastinating on.
Yep.
It's not high priority, but it
Right.
just keeps getting pushed further and further
Yes.
down.
Yep.
The person's really nice because it's it's
Yes.
a presentation.
Yes.
I'm going to get it.
Yeah, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
GIT. Give it 10. And you'll be amazed at how fast that can fly through, right? That's great. Who else? What else are you going to do? What are you going to use?
Pause, breathe, and smile.
Pause, breathe, and smile. No matter if you're at work or at home, right? People will trigger you, especially at work and at home, right? They will trigger you. You pause, breathe, and smile. You give it 10. You make a plan. You take action. So, it's up to you. What will you do to get to the next step in your career or the next step in your life? Decide who you're going to become, make a plan, and take action. Thank you so much. Attached to your sheet, the one that you've been taking notes on, is a feedback sheet. I'd love feedback. If you're interested in my blog, you can give me your email address. If you know someone who needs a speaker, please keep me in mind. Or if you know an organization that needs some education and is in the middle of a lot of chaos and change, please talk to me. That's pretty much any organization. And thank you again for being here tonight. Safe driving home. Thank you so much.